The government was forced to deny last night that Chris Whitty felt very unhappy about plans for a Big Bang reopening of schools on March 8. Downing Street knocked down claims that the chief medical officer had concerns that a full return, rather than the staggered approach called for by unions, would cause a spike in infections.
Boris Johnson has made it clear that he wants all 10 million schoolchildren and staff to return on March 8.
But education sources told the Guardian Mr Whitty was very unhappy with this. Some officials fear a mass return will increase infection rates and create problems administering pupils' COVID tests.
Ministers and senior advisors want Mr Whitty to back a full return publicly to reassure parents and teachers, but he is said to remain lukewarm.
The Guardian has reported that he has not endorsed any media materials being distributed ahead of Monday's announcements.
An education source told the newspaper that they believe the issue could be resolved and added, Number 10 will come up with a formulation of words that Whitty can live with.
Last night, a Department for Education source branded the claim absolute BT, and a government source also said it was categorically untrue.
The Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, SAGE, which advises the government, has modeled the impact of sending all children back at once against a staggered, year-by-year approach.
It believes the first option will lead to a bigger rise in the so-called R-value, which measures how quickly the virus will spread. But it insists ministers must weigh up the risks against pupils' well-being.
Officials including Mr Whitty have repeatedly stressed the damage to children of being forced to stay at home.
Mr Johnson is set to meet senior ministers today to hammer out the final details. The committee will examine the latest data on the impact of lockdown and the vaccine rollout, so they can decide how quickly to lift restrictions.
Cabinet will then rubber stamp the plans on Monday morning, before they are revealed to the Commons that afternoon.
The blueprint is likely to see schools return on March 8 along with more relaxed rules on outdoor exercise, the return of outdoor sports like golf and tennis at the end of next month, and non-essential shops opening soon after Easter. Pubs and restaurants may also be able to serve people outdoors from April, although not indoors until May, but sources have warned dates could be pushed back if the data doesn't support the restrictions being lifted. A Downing Street source told The Guardian, if we need to move things to the right because of our assessment of the pandemic, then we may have to do that. Teaching unions want a phased return to schools. 9 organizations representing teachers, heads, support staff and governors united to warn against the Prime Minister's plan. They said getting all children back at once on March 8 seemed a reckless action that could trigger another spike in COVID infections, prolong the disruption of education, and risk throwing away hard-won progress made in suppressing the virus. In a statement, they called on the Prime Minister to only commit to the March 8 date if the scientific evidence was absolutely clear that this is safe, and he should go no further than a phased return,